Hello everybody, this is Ryan and I want to make another video for you about module number 2. So as you can see, I'm in our Google Classroom. I'm going to go to classwork and I'm going to take a look at module number 2, which is right here. Notice how I took off the not ready piece. So I want to start off with a course schedule. It's right under resources. And that course schedule will give you all your dates. If I change the date, I'll let you know, but it'll give you the module when it's due. So here is module number 2, and these bullet points give you some ideas about what you're going to be doing in this module. So basically, you're going to review some research. You're going to take a look at some readily available data dashboards from KSDE or KDHE or the United States Census Bureau. If you're not from Kansas, you can use comparable data for your state. It's okay. I'm not going to tell you have to use certain data. You can use pretty much any data set you want. Then after you review the readings in the dashboard, you're going to use a data discussion protocol called Here's What, So What, Now What Data Discussion Protocol to analyze your data. And essentially what you do is you list some factual statements about the data. You do some interpretation, and then you also do some implications. And then you're going to connect. Then you're going to write a little short discussion about your findings. And again, I would recommend at least 3 paragraphs. Make sure that if you use research, that you cite data source, use an APA. Then you're going to do a peer review. And again, I mentioned APA and professional writing style. Make sure you do that. And then you're going to do a concluding task where you talk about the correlation between the standard, the relevant, and the reflection pieces. So again, I want to just point that out to you. That gives you an overview of what you're going to do. So that's the first thing. The next thing I want to show you is there's a resource here for APA style. Please take a look at that. There's some links here. There's a little document that I put together that you can use to help you with APA, give you some big ideas. Again, it's not inclusive, but it'll give you some ideas of how to do some citing to make sure things are correct. So take a look at that. And the place that I go a lot for APA is this Purdue OWL website. It's a great site for APA. That's where I would go. There's a great sample paper here that you can look at to look at how you cite things both in the resource reference page and also in text citations. And one thing you need to remember is if you list a site on a reference page, there has to be a corresponding in-text citation to go along with it. So keep that in mind, and we'll keep reminding you of that as we go through things. But APA is pretty big. You need to make sure you're citing and then also writing professionally. So let's get back to the module. So module number 2. So here's module number 2. So this is your first piece, 2A. It essentially is the document, so we can open that up and we'll go through it. Notice the look is the same. Here's your content knowledge. Here are the things you need to read. So make sure you read these things. Some of them are documents, some of them are just links to websites, like this is the data dashboard, this is KDHE, things like that. So make sure you take a look at those and read through them. And as you work on this assignment, particularly in the discussion session, and at the end of your data protocol, that you're citing your sources in APA style. So for this module, you're going to use data dashboards. You're going to review and synthesize information. I put a little piece in here about synthesis. You need to make sure you're understanding what synthesis is. So take a look at that. We'll talk about that more later on. But essentially, synthesis is looking at your data sources and trying to connect them to something, to your current knowledge. Connect resources to resources. Look at both sides of a issue. Things like that. Then you're going to start working on your data on your protocol. So the first thing you need to do is think about what kind of data you want to research, and I'll give you an example in there, but you need to come up with a essential question. And I give you a little plan here to make your essential question. So basically there's 3 parts. There's an invitation stem, there's a cognitive focus, and there's a topic. So you use those 3 pieces to build your essential question. So you kind of look at some examples here. how might my district's ACT scores compare to District A and B? What seems to be the difference in graduation rate for the last 3 cohort groups in our district? So things like that are examples, and then we'll use this data protocol right here. And it'll ask you to make a copy of it, and I give you a naming protocol that you need to follow when you name that. But here's where your interstitial question goes. Here is where your data goes. So notice I gave you an example here about birth rates in Lyon County. That's where we're at. You could do the same data, like say for graduation rates. You could do graduation rates here for 1 year, another year, and another year. You could do graduation rates for your district and 2 corresponding districts. Example there. So there's many ways to utilize this data protocol. So basically the purpose of this is to give your teachers or you a way to look at data and understand what is happening. How do you interpret the data? Because when you look at data, there's many different interpretations. You need to be able to talk about that. And there's also implications. What are the effects or consequences? Like for us, in this first example here, if we know our birth rate is decreasing, what are the implications? Well, the implications is our kindergarten classes are going to be smaller. If we have many years of small kindergarten classes, our district is going to drop. We're going to need to adjust staffing, things like that. And notice my source, I put the link here. You don't need to really do these in APA. Just put the source here so you can figure out where the data comes from. So this is where I put the discussion in there. This is where you write your discussion. Make sure, I would say write 2 or 3 good paragraphs. Make sure you cite your sources in APA formatting. Reflection here is where you're doing the reflection pieces. Compare to other schools. This is other schools, or it could be other years. It's basically it's your comparison piece. Here's where I ask for what additional data might you need, and then your references go right down here. This is where you're going to talk about your APA. So that's that. Then you're going to go through here, and here's that naming protocol. So continue down through this, and then basically you're in Module 2A, you're going to post a link to your data discussion protocol. In 2B, you're going to do a peer review, much like you did for Module 1. And 2C, you're going to do that concluding piece again, where you put in who you reviewed, and then you also do your correlation, reflection, and relevance pieces. I hope this video helps. If you have questions, please let me know. I'll talk to you later. Bye.